Hi, this is Dr. Renee, and this is the Ask Dr. Renee show. If you've never watched our show before, our show is here to motivate and inspire you to live the life that you deserve. Let's face it, we are not promised tomorrow, so we might as well live life while we are here and live it loud, live it now. So I've had a whole host of guests on that are doing exactly that. We've had Paul Carrick Brunson, Shanti Das, Lisa Nichols, Tanisha Jackson Warner, Elvira Guzman. We've had all sorts of guests that are living the life that they deserve. Tuesdays, we have designated to TREP Tuesdays, which is short for entrepreneurs. So we've had different entrepreneurs on to talk about their journeys and how they're living the life that they deserve through entrepreneurship and how they started their businesses. And all of them have successful businesses currently and how they got to this place where they are now. Tonight, we are so blessed to have Brandice Daniel. And Brandice, if you don't know who she is, you're going to find out tonight. And I'll also share with you how I was introduced to Brandice and why I think she's so amazing. But Brandice, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
So let's get started. So Brandice, what did you want to do when you were growing up?
I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Really?
Really? That's what I wanted to do.
Okay. So when did you decide, okay, medicine's not for me? Was it before college or?
It was in college. It was in college. I had actually majored in pre-med and had taken kind of my first real science class and was like, this is definitely not for me. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but this is not it. So it was really, really clear for me after taking that class.
Okay.
And you know what I was going to say, Dr. Renee? I wonder if I actually wanted to be a pediatrician or if it had been instilled in me. You know how our parents do, right?
Yes. I completely understand.
Yeah.
Completely understand. So pediatrician. So you majored in pre-med. What school did you go to?
University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. And then later I went to FIT.
Okay. So you decide this isn't for me. So what did you change it to?
Fashion merchandising.
Okay. So you get a bachelor's in fashion merchandising. So first of all, what did your parents say when you decided to change?
Girl, my mom almost had a heart attack. She was like, what? It's funny because I look back on it now. She's one of my biggest supporters, but I really thought she was going to have a fit when I told her I was changing my major. I mean, can you imagine your daughter calling you saying, I'm changing my major from pre-med to fashion merchandising? Yeah. I got all of that. Every reaction you think a mother would give you, I got it.
Oh my goodness. That is funny.
Yeah.
So you changed to fashion merchandise. And what did you want to do with that degree? So
my ultimate goal was to be a buyer. I always wanted to be a buyer. My second goal was to actually own my own boutique. So I had two things that I really wanted to do with fashion. And what's interesting is that I got a chance to experience both and realize that they were not what I wanted to do.
And when did you do this? Did you do this in college or after?
After college. After college, I eventually, my first job out of college had nothing to do with fashion at all. It was actually an insurance saleswoman. And I sold like the worst kind of insurance you can imagine, which is dismemberment insurance. So like if you, you know what I mean? So like if you like, you know, you're at work, like you cut off an arm and all that stuff. It was crazy. So I did that for a while. Then I went and worked for a home builder. I call my 20s like my wonder years. And then finally that company closed, which was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because then I was determined. I was like, I'm going to get a job in fashion. I'm going to work as a buyer. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but it's definitely going to happen. I had to move back to Memphis, which is where I'm from. And if there's some listeners that come on and you guys are from a small city, to go from a big city like Atlanta and they have to move back home, it's horrible. It's like the worst. Everybody's like, oh, so you're back, huh? You know, you tried to do the big city, it didn't work out for you, and now you're back with the rest of us. And so I got that a lot. But I eventually got a chance to actually work as a buyer in Memphis.
Okay. And so, and how was, I mean, so you went to FIT and you're in the big city, and then you go back home and you do get to work as a buyer. Was it just as glamorous, even though it wasn't in New York City, or? Because I don't know, when I think of a fashion buyer, I just think of this glamorous.
There's nothing glamorous about it. That's the whole, that was the whole problem with it. Nothing. And there's even very little creative about it, honestly, because you're really buying back into what people love. So buying is about selling. Like if you're a buyer, your whole job is to actually increase sales. And you increase sales by buying back into the thing that people are buying. So it's not very creative. It's like this cyclical thing. And I realized, I was like, this is, you know, it's tough when you think that you know exactly what you want to do and you start doing it and you're like, yeah, no, this isn't it. And that was definitely my situation. So I worked hard to get that position, and Lord.
I'm sure. So you do that and you figure out, okay, this isn't it. So how do you figure out what's next?
So for me, I knew I wanted to move to New York. I didn't know what was next. All I knew was I wanted to be in New York City. That was like the ultimate for me. And so I started coming to New York like twice a year so that it wouldn't be really intimidating for me, because New York is an intimidating place. And so I got to the point where I was really comfortable with the city. I decided to move here. And once I made the decision to move here, someone actually, one of my vendors that I work with, we bought from them in my role as a buyer. They actually offered me a position in New York. So it's interesting. I always say, when you make a decision, powerful things happen.
Yeah, you know, one of my words this year was intention. And when you have intention, you set intentions, it's just amazing the things that will flourish and happen. And then I always say, you know, you got to have faith. And if you have faith, it's mind blowing how quickly
it's mind blowing
things can alter and move.
Absolutely.
So was this quote unquote your dream job?
This was not my dream job.
Okay.
So I actually thought that, let me turn off my phone. I see that it's the thing is on. I actually thought that I would probably come to New York, get some little experience here, and then go work for a luxury house. That was my goal, to be working for Gucci or Prada or, you know, Louis Vuitton or one of those brands. That was kind of like the ultimate goal for me at the time when I first moved here. And I actually got in my job and really liked it. I was a production, I came here as a production coordinator. So people are like, what does that mean? That's everything that it takes to actually produce the clothes that you wear. And I actually really enjoyed it. So
producing, I mean, so you're like working before they even get to the store then?
Before they ever get to the store. So the account that I worked on was Victoria's Secret. The company I worked for, they had just broken the account and needed a whole lot of people because business was growing really fast. So I took care of all of our production out of Indonesia.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long did you do that?
I did that for, how long did I do that? I was there for 5 years, I think, in total. Yeah. I moved around different positions, got promoted a few times, but all in all, about 5 years I was there.
Okay. So after this is where Harlem Fashion Row came from?
So Harlem's Fashion Row happened while I was there.
Yeah, okay.
So while I was on my full-time job, it was my second year I had been in New York for 2 years. Had gone to a fashion show with one of my really great girlfriends, Camila Turner. And we were at the fashion show. I was sitting there and the thought just hit me. Like, honestly, it was like, I want to do this in Brooklyn. I'm sorry, I was in Brooklyn. I want to do this in Harlem. And it was kind of one of those things that I always tell people, like, I feel like HFR found me, because I really didn't go looking for it. I didn't have, you know, a major strategy behind it or anything like that. And it was one of those, I could not let the idea go. I kept thinking about it and dreaming about it and talking about it. I just could not let it go. So that's really how it started. That was in May of 2007. I had no idea what I was doing. So I said, I'm actually going to do this fashion show in August of 2007, which is 3 months. which is insane for somebody who has never done a fashion show in their entire life. Crazy. Foolish.
That's crazy. So in 3 months, you make it happen, right?
And 3 months, you know, the thing I always think about, so some people say, don't tell anybody your ideas, right? Some people say, if you get an idea, don't tell anyone because people will steal your ideas. I'm the opposite of that, Dr. Renee. If I have something I'm passionate about, I tell everybody, down to like the person at the corner store, the person in the laundromat. Like I can't keep my mouth shut. So as I was starting this, I was telling everybody. So everybody was getting excited about it around me. And then they would tell people. And so before I knew it, I had like 20 volunteers to help me do this event that I did not know, by the way, before the planning of this event.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
My headphones started doing something strange. Okay, so in 3 months' time, I mean, what did the first one look like?
I'm laughing because
where you came from.
My first reaction is to say a hot mess. However, I'm not gonna say that because at the time I was so proud of it, and I still am. I was so proud of it though. So proud of it that I would carry a DVD everywhere I went of this fashion show that I had done. And every home I would find some kind of way to get around to the conversation of this fashion show and how we can all watch it on this DVD.
Great marketing.
Crazy. Yep. Yeah.
So you know what we should have done? Explain to people exactly what is Harlem Fashion Row.
You just went out.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now? Uh-oh.
I can't hear you.
Oh.
No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit. It's real low though.
Yeah, I could hear an echo too. I could hear myself. That was weird.
Okay.
Oh, good. 1 second. Let me see if these will work. These are brand new.
I'm going to share this again, the link.
Okay.
On our Facebook page.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Oh, shoot. Well, I have the...
I want to share the link with people. Do I share the link that's in the window here?
Share this one right here.
Or do I share the YouTube link?
It's the YouTube link.
Okay.
Or the one that says the Ask Dr. Renee show. If you can look at your chat.
I can
the Ask Dr. Renee show. Oh goodness. I don't turn up, see if it's your volume because I have mine all the way up to the point I can hear myself again.
I can't hear you.
1 second. Shows 62. That's the link. Or
maybe
the YouTube
I should
link.
Okay, I got it. Uh-oh.
I can hear you loud and clear. That is so strange.
I know you just sent it to me. Where did the thing go? Okay. I can't hear you.
Oh, shoot. 1 second.
Maybe it's mine. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Okay, so my sister is my EP and she can hear me too. I don't know. This is weird.
Maybe it's mine. Can you hear me?
I can. Loud and clear.
I'm just gonna, while we're getting our technical difficulties together,
I don't know.
I'm just gonna post real quick in the Great Girlfriends group
loud and clear
that we're on. I'm just gonna, while we're getting our technical difficulties together,
I don't know.
I'm just gonna post real quick in the Great Girlfriends group
loud and clear
that we're on. I'm just gonna, while we're getting our technical difficulties together, I'm just gonna post quick in the Great Girlfriends group. Okay. I still can't hear you. I'm sorry. Maybe I don't.
Okay, it seems like it stopped. It was repeating repeatedly. 1 second. There we go. Okay, can you hear me now?
Take my phones out.
Try that. Try that.
Okay, that works.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Okay.
I'll take mine out.
Okay. So explain exactly what Harlem Fashion Row is.
So Harlem Fashion Row is a platform for multicultural fashion designers. We really, our goal is to kind of show the world that incredible designers of color actually exist in fashion, and to really connect them with press, media, buyers, and consumers. So we're really wanting to spread the word that we spend $22 billion a year on apparel, but we represent only less than 1% of designers that are in major department stores. And so we're just a solution, one of the solutions to that.
And what made you think of this? Just because you were a buyer at one point and then you went into production and you saw?
No, you know what I think is incredible is sometimes I think you have to follow when you feel like God is like tugging at your heart when it comes to something. You kind of have to follow that, because you don't really always get the full picture until you start. It's like, you know, jumping out into the deep water. That's why I love the term cliff jump, because sometimes you really don't get the full thing until you're midair. And so when I started HFR, I really didn't understand the full thing behind it. All I knew was this was something that I could not deny. It was something that I couldn't deny it. It kept coming up. I kept talking about it. When I would go to sleep, I would dream about it. I would wake up thinking about it. So I just knew it was something that I had to do. I didn't really have kind of the full vision for it. As a matter of fact, I kept questioning God, like, why is this thing so big, and why is this so important, and why is this something I have to do? Because there was literally something like pushing me to do it, and no matter how hard it would get or how tough, and there were some days when I just wanted to say, I'm not doing this. And I would tell my mom, you know, Mom, I don't know why I started this. I don't know why I even started this process. I wish I could just stop it right now, but I have too many people that are on board with me. But there was still something that was constantly pushing me and saying, you have to do this. And while I started planning it, it was like things were revealed to me as I was planning it. I actually still have the very first notebook that I had when I first started it. And I was like, this is for designers. But then I didn't understand why it's for designers. So I spent literally all of 2008 down a rabbit hole. That's how I know all these statistics, because I spent a whole year doing nothing but researching and figuring out, you know, who are the designers of color that are out there right now? How are we represented in fashion? And why is there not many of us out there? So I bought every book imaginable on the topic, from Constance White book to Lois Alexander Lane's book. Like, I was just on this quest to figure out the why. I wanted to know why. And I'll say probably early 2009, everything became clear for me. I'll never forget, I was on 34th Street and 8th Avenue in New York, leaving work, and I'm walking, and sometimes I would just walk until I couldn't walk anymore, and then I get on the subway and get home. But this one day I was walking, it was like everything was coming to me. Brandice, your buying experience that you had is gonna work together for this. Your production experience you're gonna have is, and it's like it became so clear to me that day exactly why I was doing what I was doing, that I walked from 34th Street all the way to like 110th Street, which is a long way. That's a long walk. But I felt like I was floating that day because I finally had it. I was like, I understand now what my purpose is.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it was meditation.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So how many years have you been doing Harlem's Fashion Row?
We celebrate our 9th anniversary on August 17th.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And when you did it, was there anyone else that you could, you know, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they need to find mentors. Was there somebody else that you could find that was a mentor that you could talk to that was also doing fashion shows of this magnitude?
Not the first year, but I did find my mentors during that first year.
Okay.
I was cold calling people. And it's, again, it goes back to every experience you have will work together for your good if you just pay attention. So that horrible insurance job that I had where I was selling, I had to cold call like 40 to 70 people every day on the phone. So cold calling for me is not a thing. It's an easy thing for me because I was doing that when I was 21. So I was cold calling people, introducing myself, telling them what I was doing. And that's when I met one of I call her HFR's godmother, which is Audrey Smaltz. And then I also met this other woman, Christina, I can't think of her last name right now, but who was really also helpful to me and just giving me advice over the phone.
Okay, that's awesome. And most people would not do that.
Yeah.
But let me real quickly explain how I found Brandice, because this goes into her story too. So I found out about Udemy, and my friend said that they were having a sale on Udemy, and I was like, oh, really? So I said, let me scroll through and see if I see something that would be of interest. And I saw this wonderful class about getting sponsors for your event. And I said, oh, well, let me try this. So I think I bought 3 classes that day. To this day, yours is the only one I took.
Oh, wow.
So, I went through that class and sat there and was like, oh my God, amazing. I mean, that was the most thorough thing I've ever heard in my life. Oh, and my EP said, what is Udemy? Udemy is, it's you to me. So it's udemy.com. And it's a place where you can take online courses on anything you could imagine.
Yes.
They have literally everything you could even think of, and things you wouldn't have ever thought of, they have. So right. This class had all of the, I mean, you were just so thorough. She was very transparent and thorough. She started it off in the beginning and said she was the founder of Harlem's Fashion Row, and this is how much she made the first year, nothing. And then the next year, and she literally showed how she, started, and she talked about sponsorship decks and how to create them. And she had, what else did you have in it? Oh, she had templates. She had scripts for cold calling. She had scripts for the cold email if you just have to email somebody you don't know. And then at the end had videos with decision makers who actually decide if they're going to sponsor something. And they tell you exactly what they're looking for. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, this course alone should have been well over $1,000. Like, I could not believe all the information. You don't know how many people I've told to take the course. Like, I have had so many people buy that course because I told them.
Wow. Wow.
I was just like blown away. It was so good. So that's how, when I took it, I was like, oh my God, who is this person? So I started searching, like, I got to find her. She's amazing. And I saw we had some mutual friends on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to ask them. I was like, she is amazing. And I put a review, of course, because I thought it was so great. Then I sent a message through Udemy, and it took a long time, but you did respond. And I'm sure it's because, just like everything else, it doesn't send you the emails to tell you somebody sent you a message. Right. So you finally did. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, that course was so good.
Wow.
I just couldn't tell enough people about that course. Like I said, I bought 3 that day, and I've only taken 1 to this day. And I have literally, because I have Udemy, I have the app on my phone. I literally share that course with so many people. Like, here, this is the one. Take this one. This one.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I don't have a lot of time to waste. So for the fact that I sat there and was like, it's amazing. Next, what next? And then when I did put my sponsorship deck, we didn't do the event yet, but we're going to do it soon, maybe this summer. When I did put it together, I actually had your course open one spot, then my stuff, and was just sitting there like, okay. So then she started with this, and then I need to do this. So excellent course. And it clearly shows that you know exactly what you're doing. And like I said, for you to show, I made no money this first year, and then the next year, I think you made maybe $10,000 or something, and then I was just like, wow. Go ahead.
Because transparency for me, you know, some people say, Brandice, you're too transparent, but for me, I was that one who I always want to know details.
Right.
And people never like to talk dollars. I always want to know the money story too. And so because I'm that person, I'm like, I'm just going to share, I'm not going to hold anything back, in regards to my journey and any of it, honestly. Even kids, Sybil and I did a mentor session with some kids recently, and they wanted to know, like, well, how much money you guys make? And that was the question that when I was younger and people would come to my school, I would always be the one to raise my hand and say, well, how much money did you make? And then the teacher would give me that look like, do not ask them that, and I was like, well, why not? I don't understand. So I just feel like transparency is, I don't know. I think it's necessary.
And I mean, like I said, I think that it really helps, especially because you started with it at the beginning of the course. It really gave your authority that she really knows what she's talking about, and she, she's done it, and this is how she did it. And so then you wanted to sit and watch the rest of it.
Wow. Aww.
So yeah, so it was phenomenal.
So take the course, everyone. It's on Udemy.
Yes, please take the course. It was great. And if you need the link to the course, just let me know. I'll send it to you. But so when did you quit your job officially?
I quit my job in 2011. So I was how many years in the HFR? What's that? 4 or 5 years?
Okay.
4 years in HFR.
Now HFR is still just one time a year, right?
No, we actually do several things throughout the year. Our largest event happens in September, but we have stuff going on all the time. And especially now, we're actually about to launch master classes, fashion master classes. And so that's going to be kind of an ongoing thing. And then in September, we're launching an e-commerce platform. So it'll be year round.
Wow. So it started out as a fashion show, and then you've delved into some other things.
Yeah, because, the fashion show is great for press and it's great for media. And we've gotten some incredible press and media, and that is necessary. However, my goal is to really help multicultural designers build like sustainable businesses. And so these other steps are to kind of fill in the gaps in the financial places.
Okay. And honestly, I know nothing about fashion, but like I said, I didn't even pay attention. Like, I didn't know who you were or what Harlem Fashion Row was until I did the course.
Wow.
And was like, oh, okay, this is very interesting, but I really didn't have a clue. But I was like, I wanted to know about events, and I said, well, she clearly has an event, and clearly it's doing well. And some of the people, like I said, we have a lot of people in common that, I knew they knew about it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, this might be something. She might have something here. And I went to your website after that, and so you can also talk about the cliff jumping, which I thought was very, very interesting, because I always tell everyone, one, my hashtag is live life you deserve, but I always say, you have to take that leap of faith.
Yes, absolutely. That's kind of been my entire life journey. Everywhere along the way, when all the really amazing things have happened, it's been when I've taken like this huge cliff jump. So like moving to New York, cliff jump, because I really didn't have any money. I had like $1,500 and 2 suitcases and a duffel bag. Quitting my job, even before I moved to New York, quitting my job. And what's funny was when I quit my job, the very next day I had a job offer. So it's like all those things have happened, planning events when I didn't have all the resources there to plan it, and just taking like huge, huge, huge jumps. I feel like you never really kind of see like where your life could go or how big God is until you take like these big cliff jumps. And then you get to see, you're like, oh my God. I remember when we did our first event at Jazz at Lincoln Center. That was huge. For those of you who are not familiar with New York City, Jazz at Lincoln Center is probably one of the most premier venues in the city. And for a company like Harlem Fashion Row to do an event there, it was a huge deal to everyone, especially people who worked in fashion. And that was just a huge cliff jump, step of faith. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it, but I just knew that's where we were supposed to be. And so, and every time I've done something like that, these incredible things have happened. Starting a podcast while I'm 5 months pregnant. Crazy, but to see what's happening after that, so I think life requires that. I think if we kind of stay in our steady mode, we never really get to experience like the amazingness of all that life has to offer.
We have one question. Was there a main goal that you wanted to reach before you quit your 9 to 5?
I did. So I wanted to have some months of rent saved up. I live in New York City. It's very expensive. I wanted to have at least, I think I had 6 months of rent that I wanted to have. I don't think I really achieved that goal at all. And at the time I was dating my then boyfriend, now husband, and I felt like he was going to propose to me soon. And I said, you know what? Before I am engaged, I need to quit my job. Because, once you become like engaged like that, it's kind of like, then you're both responsible. You have like all these responsibilities. And I was like, nope, I need to do it before he proposes. I need to quit this job to see if we can really make it through this. And also, this is for me. This is what I have to do for me. So, to answer their question, no, I did not have it all together. I would suggest that you do it a little bit.
Flying by the seat of your pants instead of.
I don't regret it. I'm really happy that I did it when I did it. And something else, I really want to work with people who are just now quitting their jobs, because the most challenging thing is, what do you do with all of this time? It took me a year just to figure out what to do with my time every single day. It did, because I didn't know. I was like, okay, I quit my job. Now what? And it took me a year to really kind of master my schedule.
Okay. Now, are you one that works at home?
I do.
Okay. Because I'm one that has to work at home. There's people that can go to the coffee shop. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I love going to the coffee shop though. I have a coffee shop down the street from me, Manny's. That's like my office.
Yeah, I'm too nosy, so I don't get a lot accomplished when I sit around others. Whereas if I have my TV on and I'm working, I'm fine. But as soon as I start getting around other people, it's a whole nother story.
That's hilarious.
Look, you have to know. And you know what? I wasn't a library study person either in college for the same reason.
Right.
Because I'm looking and noticing what's going on.
Sometimes I can work from home, but now it's really tough because when I'm at home, I'm thinking about, oh, I can go put a load of laundry in. Oh, I need to wash guys' bottles out. Oh, I can go, it's like I'm always thinking about what I need to do at home. So I kind of try to get out.
I completely understand.
Yeah.
So like you said, it's the 9th year. You have all these other things you start. So the other thing was, when I was searching your name, I found the Great Girlfriends. Mm-hmm. So I start listening to the podcast and I start telling everybody about it. Like, you should really listen to this podcast. It's really good. And I think that I just wonder, how did you get to the place of wanting to do a podcast? Because, not everyone thinks of that. Yeah. And so how did you get there? And so what did you want to accomplish with that?
Yeah, I was a huge podcast listener. One of my favorite ones is Smart Passive Income. I listen to it faithfully. It has helped me. And he's another one who's super transparent. I love his transparency.
What is his name again?
Pat Flynn.
Thank you. Okay, because I just learned about him last summer.
Oh, he's my BFF in my head. So, like, it's so funny because the people who are like my BFFs are like all these like young white boys who are like doing their thing, but all of them they don't even know it. But he's one of them. And I listened to his podcast for almost a year. It was almost like I was getting my master's degree in business. And it just helped me so much. So I just love the podcast platform. So Sybil and I have been talking, and every time Sybil and I get together, it's this event. It's an event every time we get together and talk. And so we were talking and we were like, I don't even remember how it happened, but I was telling her I was thinking about starting a podcast. She said she was thinking about doing something. And I said, well, why don't we just do this together? And it'll be a way for us to basically share everything we've learned with other people, like all the good, the bad, the ugly. And I just want it to be a strictly like entrepreneur podcast because I love talking to people about entrepreneurship. Sybil was like, nah, I want to talk about love and life and whatever. So I was like, oh, I just want to talk about love and life, but whatever. She was like, well, I don't really want to talk about entrepreneurship. So we were like, all right, fine. The compromise is that we will talk about everything. And we actually started meeting and writing down like what we would want our podcast to be about. We kind of got a very clear idea. Funny story, we were at a Hillstone restaurant in New York, saw these young girls sitting like maybe a couple tables beside us. And we were like, you know what? Our podcast should be about whatever they're talking about at their table. Like, God, we wish we could be a fly on the wall at that table. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ask them. So I went over there, introduced myself. Hey, we're starting a podcast. We would love to just sit at the table with you guys and find out what's important to you. Sat at the table with them. They invited us over. They were 3 sisters, come to find out. Invited us over. We invited them to a meeting the very next morning at Sybil's office at the time. We had breakfast ready for them, and we spent like 4 hours just hashing out all the things that women wanted to talk about. And before you know it, Sybil's husband is a creative director, and so we just kind of started. I wanted to start right away. Sybil made me promise that I wouldn't tell anyone about this until we had actually recorded. Of course, I don't know how to keep my mouth shut. So I told everybody at every event that we were doing this podcast, and they would come up to her saying, oh, I heard about this. I'm so excited. And she'd be like, really? So yeah, and then we just started recording. I was probably, like 4 or 5 months pregnant at the time. And she said, Brandice, in order for us to launch this, fine. Because I said, no, we're launching this by July, whatever, I think 29th. She said, in order for us to launch this, we have to have this many episodes done. So I said, fine. So we went on a recording frenzy and really just decided that we would just be very transparent. I mean, there's enough out here that's like, if I'm going to spend the time to talk to you or to do a podcast, what's the point of me fluffing? Like, you know what I mean? What's the point of me like filtering myself or fluffing or not telling the truth or not being honest? If I'm actually spending the time doing it, I feel like I should be doing something that's like real and honest and authentic and even vulnerable, because we've cried on the podcast and everything else. But I think it's just, I'm just not, what you see is what you get with me. And so I'm kind of like that across the board. And the podcast is no different.
So you guys are having the first Great Girlfriends Conference, What a Girl Wants, this summer, right?
Yes, what women want.
What women want. So tell people, what about the conference, when it is, how they can register and all that great stuff.
So the cool thing is that we have like all these great girlfriends from all across the country. For a very long time, me and Sybil would call each other and say, hey, do you know anybody in Charlotte, North Carolina? Because we would be looking at our analytics and we thought that we know everyone who listened to the show, which 25 downloads later, we don't. 25,000 downloads later, we don't. But Great Girlfriends was saying, we want to connect, like who's in Charlotte, who's here, like how can we connect with each other? So we were like, you know what, let's bring all the girlfriends together in New York City. Let's host them. Let's give them an incredible experience and let's see what happens from there. And we had Prudential came on board and said, hey, we'll support this. We want to be a part of this. Macy's came on board and said the same thing. Centric came on board. So we have like all these incredible brand partners. And then the Great Girlfriends really have just shown up. So our goal is to really bring women together in a place where it will be our home, where we will host them. The moment they come through the door, they will feel the warmth. A lot of times you go to the conferences and they're really cold and stiff. And our goal is to really kind of create we're both from Memphis, both very Southern, very country at times too. And so we want to create that feeling for women when they come into a room, like let your guard down. All of our speakers are the same way. Let your guard down. Let's come in the room. Let's actually really, really connect. Let's leave with new friends and new friendships. And so we've just created a weekend. Macy's is actually hosting us on Friday night in their Herald Square store. Saturday is a day full of panels, 5-minute dance parties. We got a DJ there all day long. Like, it's just crazy.
It's going to be a lot of fun, I can tell, because you have a lot of people that I know already speaking too.
Yeah. And just so many incredible speakers. So many.
Yeah, I saw Michelle Thornton is going to be there.
Yep.
My girl, Gorgeous in Gray, Ty Alexander.
Yep.
So yeah, it's going to be a really nice time. When is it? Tell them where exactly it is.
Actually, June 10th through the 12th, which is next weekend.
Next weekend. Whoa, it's soon. Okay.
Yeah, and you guys can you can go to our website, thegreatgirlfriends.com, and all of the conference information is there. You'll get full schedule, everything there, so that you can, get all the information. But it's going to be a really, really fun time.
The Great Girlfriends podcast, you guys, is found in all of the, it's on SoundCloud, right? It's on everything. But I listen to it through iTunes because I have an iPhone.
Yep, everything.
Yeah,
yep.
Everything. Check it out. The Great Girlfriends. It's free.
Yeah.
But it's a really great podcast. And what days of the week does it come out? I just listen whenever.
We release every Wednesday.
So every Wednesday, brand new episode. It's about 40 minutes, right?
Yep, about 40 minutes. Tomorrow we actually have Mimi G release.
Oh, yes. Okay.
She is like the DIY queen, has built an empire from, showing people how to create. Like, her story is so insane.
You know what? I met her and actually told her about this show and was like, I need to have her on. And I still have to schedule that. But I met her last year at a Verizon event. She spoke in Chicago. She came to Chicago and spoke at an event.
Yeah.
And my friend was on the panel as well. And so
awesome.
I got to talk to her. Yeah. But Mimi is also going to be speaking at What Women Want, right? Yeah.
Mimi G, Tico and Mimi G, which is her business partner. They just started a new venture called Tico and Mimi G, which you can find on their website and Instagram. And they'll both be speaking on a panel, which we call Squad Goals.
Okay.
So it's about friends who've gone into business together.
Okay.
So that's gonna be a fun one. Yeah.
So recently, I don't know if you saw, but the trailer for this show was the documentary I Rise.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Aww.
So please tell everyone, how did that happen? And how amazing was that? Because it was just watching the documentary was beautiful, and it was very well done.
Let me tell you, I'm so blown away constantly. This year has been this year started off, I was speaking at the Wealth Conference, which is MC Light's conference.
Yep.
That was top of the year for me, with all of these incredible, wonderful women. That was the Great Girlfriends' first speaking engagement. I then got selected to be Centric 16 Women to Watch in 2016. I then got NYC TV Catalyst and was featured on there. And then I got this call from this filmmaker who said she wanted me to be a part of this documentary, Rise Up with Andra Day. And I'm so blown away by 2016. And the crazy thing is that I don't have the same amount of time that I had before because I have a 7-month-old. And it's like, I guess every seed that you plant will always kind of, it will grow and it will sprout up. And this is kind of, I feel like a harvest season for me. I mean, I cannot keep up with all the things that keep happening and things that keep coming up and opportunities that keep coming. But I literally got an email out the blue from a documentary. She said, we found your story. We really want to include you in this documentary. And I thought it would be lots of women. And this whole, I had no idea that it would be what it is. It's amazing. And I got a chance to meet Andra Day at the premiere they had in New York. She was so cool. Like, she had seen the documentary so many times. So she had me sing my story over and over and over. I have no idea what God is up to this year. Clearly, he's like, I'm like at a place. I just had a call today, something really great that just happened with L.com. And I'm blown away. I don't even know what to say. That's why I always say to people, whatever it is you want to do, if it's what you're supposed to do, no matter how hard it gets, like push through, do what you have to do, but don't stop, because you just don't know what's waiting for you. I mean, my toughest year ever in business was 2014. That was just 2 years ago.
Right.
That wasn't even, not even honestly 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. And it was just the toughest year for me. I had the toughest time business-wise, personal-wise. It was just super tough. And I just think about the fact that that was not that long ago when that happened. And now I'm looking at things unfolding, and it's just beyond anything I could have ever imagined.
That is awesome. The documentary was just amazing anyway. So it premieres at Essence Festival this year. If you haven't seen it, you can see it on YouTube. Your video already had 50,000 views.
It does?
Yeah.
Look, oh my God. Are you serious?
Serious.
Oh,
50,000 views.
God.
So, yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, it was really, really, really very nice. Whomever that person was that did the documentary did a great job.
Her name is Yoruba. Yeah, she's very talented.
And I just watched Andra Day's. I just watched hers today or yesterday. I just watched it for the first time. So I'd seen yours first. Then I watched Andra's. And Andra's actually my friend's first cousin, one of my good friends, my great girlfriend.
Okay.
So she, so I knew a little bit of her story because of that, but the documentary was just really nice. And yes, it was really well done. And I'll be at Essence. So are you going to be at Essence as well?
We'll be at Essence. Actually, the Great Girlfriends will be there with Walmart. We'll be on a panel with, golly, forgot her name just that quick. We'll be on a panel with Tasha Smith. And also,
okay.
Are you serious, Brandice? Tisha Campbell.
Okay.
For Walmart, called a panel, The Great Girlfriends. And then we'll also be there with Prudential doing 2 panels for them on Friday and on Sunday. And then I may have some other stuff going on. So we'll see. We'll be busy.
Awesome. And so my wonderful EP, my sister, said 2016 is only halfway done. So hold on tight.
I know, sister.
Huh?
What's your sister's name?
My sister is Alicia, and her brand is Foodie Engineer.
Oh, nice. Alicia.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't even know what the end of this year, I don't know what my life is going to look like at the end of this year. I have no idea.
It's going to be great things, just great things.
I know that.
Yes.
I know.
Yes. So do you believe that there's a balance, a work-life balance? We ask that of a lot of the moms.
I believe we talk about harmony a lot. I don't know if there's balance. So, you know, my life is honestly like one big pot of soup or gumbo, whatever you want to call it. All of it goes together. You know, if you're my friend, you're going to hear me talk about my business. If you don't want to hear me talk about my business, you don't want to be my friend. You know, my baby is on my conference calls in the morning with my interns, and they all know who she is. My husband is a part of HFR and books all my speaking engagements. And, you know, just recently he's, you know, just kind of getting familiar with the Great Girlfriends. And it's like everything is together. I don't know how to separate my life. So that's kind of how I make it work. Everybody's a part of everything.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, how large is your staff?
I have a staff of like 4 to 5 consistent. And then everything else I contract out. So I have, you know, a PR person I've been working with since 2009. My hairstylist I've been working with since 2009. Makeup artists, like most of my team have been with me for a very long time, since like my first or second year. That's why it's so much fun. Like what we do, most people are so extremely stressed backstage at fashion shows. Our fashion show is probably the calmest backstage you'll ever walk into. super calm. We're all having lots of fun because we're like a family at this point.
Well, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You got to do it, you know. At least enjoy yourself. Because then
Definitely.
you don't feel like you're working.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
if
true.
If anyone had any other questions, you could tweet them to me at this point, or you can type them in on YouTube, and my EP will get them to me. So I just love a good love story. So how did you meet your husband?
I met my husband in Brooklyn. He was coming into this venue to watch the fight. Me and my friends were actually throwing a party there. And because we used to throw this like epic party in Harlem called HHHP, which is the hottest Harlem house party. And then it just got out of hand. So we decided we'd move it to Brooklyn. And we thought all the cute guys were in Brooklyn too. So that was like another plus. And so we met there, started talking. He knew he was like a friend of a friend. And so he was like, I'll take you home. And I was like, So I asked the guy, like, is he okay to drop me off? And he was like, yeah. Dropped me off at like maybe 3:00 in the morning and was like, you want to do breakfast tomorrow morning? And I was like, you mean in like a few hours? Like, yeah. And so we did brunch. Like the next day, came back, picked me up, and we did brunch. And we had a really, really great time at brunch. And I always tell people I have no idea how it happened. We never, ever had the conversation like, okay, we're exclusive or,
all the things people talk about.
It just kind of happened. Honestly, it was just kind of assumed after a while. Every time I would go somewhere with my friends, I'd be like, do you want to come with us? Do you want to, And he courted me and all my roommates. So he brought us all food, brought us all cupcakes. It's hilarious because my friends are literally like, Rich dated all of us. And then we had a few breakups because I was like, I'm just so into my business. I don't know. And he would say things like, well, you have to eat. So let's go to dinner. Like, let me take you to dinner. And he was just so incredibly sweet. I had, if you listen to the podcast, I talk about this, but I was really, really, really hurting. My ex-boyfriend had committed suicide. And so I had a really tough time and just kind of opening my heart back up again. And my husband loved me so unconditionally. It was a love that I had never felt before. He was then my boyfriend. And even when it came to the conversation of my hurt around my ex, he really, really, really encouraged me to go to therapy, down to the point of asking one of his female friends for a therapist. Yeah. And he was like, you really have to go do this. And I did it. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. I feel like his love healed me in a way. So yeah, that's my boo.
So how long did you guys date and then you get married?
We dated for, how long we dated before we got engaged? So we dated for, I think 3.5 years before we got engaged. And then we were engaged for another year and like maybe almost a year and a half. And then we got married in 2013.
Okay.
So we're celebrating our anniversary next Wednesday.
Oh, well, congratulations.
3 years.
Congratulations. And now you have little Sky.
We have little Sky. I'm so happy too, because we, mom's like, yeah, just have a baby. But we spent a year and a half of our marriage just enjoying ourselves and traveling. And we went so many places and had so much fun. And we're both really adventurous. My husband, in terms of just sports and stuff, my husband is a big skier and taught me how to ski, taught me how to ski. That was a mess, but I figured it out. And so we go on vacations and we do like the craziest things together. I did my first skydiving trip with him. We just do all kind of insane things. We're super.
Skydiving is crazy.
We did. And it was.
This is before Sky, right?
This is before Sky.
Uh-huh.
This was before Sky. This was pre-Sky. But yeah, we're both adrenaline jockeys.
So what do your parents say now? Because, you know, I know your mother, father thought you were crazy. You're not going to be pre-med. You're going into fashion merchandising. What? So now what do they say?
My mom, oh my God, they could not be more proud. I mean, my mom is there every step of the way. She's praying for me all the time. There have been some, when I tell you, I don't know how she's done it, because I've done so many like crazy things that as a mother, I would be scared to death for my child. Now that I know what that feels like, having a daughter, and she's just supported me like 100%. Her and my dad both, they're here at every single event that I have. They're here. We're having the conference next Friday. My mom is like, okay, me and your dad are flying up. We'll be there on Monday. I'm sure you're gonna need some help with Sky. So she listens to every podcast episode. She's just, everything I do, she's just front and center.
That is wonderful. That's wonderful. My parents watch every episode of this show. And my mother actually just came in here asking for the link. And I said, we're a little busy. But I came home for the holiday weekend. So usually I'm in my studio, which has my lovely Ask Dr. Renee logos everywhere. So if we have computer, we'll travel. Have internet, we'll travel, and we can still do the show.
And you do what you gotta do, and you make it work, right? That's part of being an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
Make it work and figure it out. Because there is no how-to guide. Let me tell you guys that right now.
Not at all. Not at all. So where is Harlem's Fashion Row going, let's say, in the next 5 years? What is your plan?
So I am so excited. So let's say we're almost at 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the first 10 years, we waved the flag and we've said, there's a problem here. Everyone needs to understand what the problem is. And we want you to support, right? And we build a brand. That's what I feel like our first 10 years have been about. Our next 10 years is about building like an empire, a huge business. So that is where we're launching our new masterclass series, fashion masterclass series, where we're going to be partnering with really, really influential fashion professionals, and they're going to be teaching 3-week classes that people can purchase. So it'll be kind of like the Udemy for fashion courses.
Okay.
And then we'll also be doing e-commerce. So the way that we're doing it is we'll actually have a new set of designers every month that people will be able to shop from. So it'll be like the new class of designers. Every single month you'll get a new issue that you can shop from, that you can find out about. And that's kind of the next stage for us. After this, we're probably going to, roll out with these 2 initiatives for the next few years. And then we're going to launch our own label. So that's that.
Clothing label?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
We've already started working on it. We've already started sourcing factories. That's actually my background. So that's why I said everything I do, everything I've done kind of come full circle. So we'll be launching our own fashion label where we'll be partnering with designers. So let's say it's, Dr. Renee for HFR. Well, they'll have kind of exclusive pieces and exclusive collections with HFR. And hopefully that'll help them financially, and then they can also do their own collection as well. So I'm like, I can't even tell you how excited I am, because this is a place I've been waiting to get to. But sometimes like you need a push, and Sky was my push to get it done. And so now I'm like, all right, this is the timeline. Let's get it done. And then the people in the fashion industry, people are going to be really pleased with the people that we're going to be partnering with, because they're like at the top of their game in fashion, have never taught a course like this before. So it'll be really interesting to see how people respond to it, and getting kind of the full story, because sometimes you see where people are and you're like, oh, I want to do that, but you don't understand the story and what it takes to get there, all the tools, tips, tricks, all those things. So we'll be diving into all that with our courses.
That is awesome. And I encourage everyone to please check out, if you have any interest in fashion, please check out Harlem's Fashion Row and all of the different entities they have going. Yeah. And then if you are a girlfriend, you need to check out The Great Girlfriends. I'm telling you, it is a really great podcast. I end up usually listening to podcasts when I'm working out, when I'm walking on the lakefront. and they have me laughing some days, crying others. And I, you've seen me on Periscope. I've told my Periscope peeps, I'm like, you guys, I listen to very few podcasts. Like, I've just gotten into podcasts in the last year. Basically, actually from Periscope is where I learned about a bunch of podcasts. And so that's when I started listening to them. And, I listen to only so many, but, I subscribe to certain ones, and I know when the new ones pop up, I go listen. Great Girlfriends is one of them. I make sure I, tune in. And I've been telling my sister recently about Elle Brown. I just heard that one the other day when I was working out. Amazing story. Yes, amazing story.
Did that not make you? I need to actually go listen to that again.
Yeah, that was an amazing story. And I'm thinking I might need to have her on the show too. But yeah, her story was just, I was just blown away.
Losing 10 pounds 10 times.
10 times? Yeah. Perfect. I mean, no one's ever said that, but that is a great, that's like inch by inch, it becomes a cinch. You just do it small steps, like I said, with you said we made no money the first year. The next year, okay, we made a little bit. The next year, a little bit. And I think the course, the top it went up to was like 40,000. And I was like, oh, that would be just fine. I was like, wow, really? Okay, from one event? Okay. So like I said, I can't thank you enough for that course. It was just so amazing.
I love this.
I was like, I think she has a future in teaching. Like, you literally broke it down in small pieces, and each module made sense, and it all, and I told people, I was like, she had a lot of, there was a lot of handouts for us too, that I was like, who does this? This is amazing. So
I love it.
Worth every penny. I think it was like 200 and something, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and I was like $249. It would be worth every penny. Like I said, I got in on a little sale thing, but I was like, this was $1,000 course easily.
Yes. Wow.
So everyone, please follow Brandice everywhere. We'll have all her links below. She is on all social media. Please let everyone know real quickly where to find you, but I'll make sure I type them all in.
Yep, you can find me at Brandice Daniel on everything social. You can also find me at The Great Girlfriends, which is the podcast that I co-host, and then at Harlem's Fashion Row on Instagram for everything around Harlem's Fashion Row.
So thank you so much, because I know that you are a busy mother. And it's funny because when I first emailed Brandice, I'm listening to The Great Girlfriends. I'm like, and then I'm like, she had that baby early. And I saw it on Instagram.
Girl,
you emailed me, and like you had just had the baby like a week before. And I go, why is she emailing me? But okay, thank you.
Because as an entrepreneur, I never knew how to turn it off. I didn't know how to turn it off. And I had the baby, and I was like, shucks, I'm still getting emails. And because I had planned on, because she was due November 29th, right. I was going to do a full on, I'm having the baby. I won't be, but because Sky decided to come 6 weeks early, I didn't have a time to do any of that. So no one was prepped for Miss Sky. Yeah.
Well, she came when she was ready.
You know what? Now I'm kind of happy she came early, because from what I hear, those last 3 weeks are torture.
So I mean, I really thank you, because I know that you are very busy, especially with your the conference coming up, the first one, because I know there's going to be many. So the first one in New York, and maybe you'll come to Chicago.
Please
and have one soon. Huh?
I'm just telling everyone, please check our website for all the conference details. It's thegreatgirlfriends.com.
Yeah, so please check them out, support them. In any way you possibly can, please try to support them. Like I said, if you just subscribe to their podcast, that helps them in their numbers. Download the podcast, tell a friend. If you're not a girlfriend, tell a friend to please follow. We try to support. That's one thing I always try to. So I try to support as many people as I can, and I try to encourage my friends and family to do the same, especially when it's not going to cost you anything. I told you the podcast was free,
right?
But they have very good guests. They give great information, much like this show. So I highly suggest that you pay attention to the podcast. And I will type everything in the box below. And please watch the trailer. Watch the Rise Up video, the documentary. Yeah, 50,000 subscribers. I mean, views.
As soon as I get off of here.
Oh no, you'll probably have 100,000 by Essence.
I can't believe that.
Easily.
I cannot believe that.
It was like 55.
I can't believe it.
Because Andra's was in 6 figures, but you're coming. You're gonna get there, I think.
I can't believe it.
Very soon. Yeah.
I cannot believe it. And you know what? I just said the other day, I said, dang, I got a lot of followers on Instagram now. Where is this coming from?
Oh, they put all of your guys' stuff in the bottom, though.
That might be what it is.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
So thank you so much, everyone. Brandice, don't go anywhere. Everyone, thank you. We will see you next week. Not sure who the guest is yet, but we will see you next week. Same time, same place. And, you can follow me everywhere at Ask Dr. Renee. My website, of course, is AskDrRenee.info. And, of course, you can always email me at info@AskDrRenee.info. And I will see you soon. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.